ArcheryTalk, this is Lucas, and today I've got my long-term review of the Garmin Xero X1i rangefinding crossbow scope. I've had this now for 5 or 6 months, and I've been waiting to get my review to you largely because I haven't had a chance to shoot it outside and really stretch its legs. Well, I've had a chance recently, and I'm going to share the review with you today. If you were looking to learn a little bit more about the technology within the site and every feature that it has, please go check out my preview video. I'm going to link it in the description, and it's got all that information for you. For the review, though, I just kind of want to focus on my impressions of it and how it works and what I like or don't like about it, rather than the technology. So I'm going to focus on that now, and let's dig in. So let's talk setup. I have experience with the Garmin Xero A1i vertical bow sight, and I've used that for a number of years now. I've had a chance to take it hunting, and it's a fantastic sight. The setup of it, though, was a little bit complicated, especially I think because I'd never touched that rangefinding bow sight technology before. Even still, the X1i is so much simpler to use. This one, I would say, less than 20 minutes until I was, I was fully ranged up. It could not have been a simpler process. All you had to do to get this thing to started is start your setup mode, and it asked me to shoot from about, it says 5 large steps away. So I shot it in 5 large steps away, and asked me if I hit the bullseye, and said yes or no, and how high or low. So we got that figured out. Then I moved to 20 yards, and then I shot there until I was on the right spot. And then all it asked me to do was put in the rated speed of the bow. In this case, this is an Excalibur Assassin 400 TD, so I said 400 feet a second, and all of a sudden I was ranged. Right out to, I played out to about 55 yards is as far as I've shot this thing out here, but it was hitting right where it was supposed to, at least as well as I can shoot it there. I don't have the most crossbow experience. I'm much more comfortable with vertical bows, but I also really like playing with technology, so I play with crossbows now. But yeah, it was the simplest of any rangefinding sight I've used, and I've shot 3 vertical bow versions now, and now a crossbow version from three different companies, and this was easily the easiest one to use. It's pretty darn cool. I do want to touch on one of the key features on this site that I talked about in the preview video, and that is called steady aim. That's an interesting bit of technology that Garmin threw in this site, and the idea with steady aim is that when you're ranged up and you're getting ready to shoot, it'll give you, there's a little dot and a circle around it. And if you're kind of calm and steady, that's all you're going to see. But if you start moving around a little bit and you're a little bit shaky, maybe a little buck fever, that circle's going to grow and grow and grow, and maybe tell you shouldn't take that shot until you can kind of reset your batteries a little bit and calm down. I really like how it works. You can turn it off if you're bothered by a little extra clutter in your sight window. You can get rid of that circle and just have the dot, and that's all well and good. But I like having that steady aim in there. As someone who gets a little antsy in shooting situations, especially when there's a large deer in front of me, I can really appreciate that. Maybe it'll let you know when you shouldn't take a shot. That might be an unethical shot because you might only be 25, 30 yards away, but if you're really bouncing around, it might not be the best choice for you. So this kind of lets you know what you're looking at. And you can also see a big difference if you're in the range by yourself and how small you're keeping that circle, and if you're out in the field and have a deer in front of you and you can see, oh my God, the circle is 4 times larger, I don't know what to do. Maybe you can kind of just take a breath and calm down a little bit before you execute the shot, and it gives you a better opportunity, I think, to make a clean and easy kill shot. So I think it'd be best right now if we showed you what it's like to use this thing. So how long it goes from the ranging process to actually shooting, so you can kind of get an idea of how long that takes. I shot a little video a few minutes ago to show you exactly how that happens. Let's go have a look at it. All right, guys, I'm going to run you through a shot process with the Garmin Xero here using your crossbow, and kind of show you about how long it takes to range the target and get your shot off. It's a really seamless operation. So first thing I'm going to do is come to target, and this is my the button on the side here is where I'm using my range. That's all right. I just press that to range. So I'm going to squeeze that, and it'll say target lock, target ranging, target locked. It says 27 yards. I take that off, and now I'm just looking through my viewfinder, through the scope rather, and I can see I've got the steady aim feature on. So the more I'm moving around and talking, I can see the circle kind of growing and shrinking. But if I kind of relax, it'll shrink. Fire the target, and then that's it. It's super easy. It can be very quick, and it's a genius setup if you don't want to have to be reaching for a rangefinder separately from your crossbow. So yeah, as you can see, it's a very smooth and simple operation, kind of ranging and shooting all in one spot. Realistically, it doesn't take you any longer than it would if you were just shooting with like a, like a regular multi kind of pin reticle and a crossbow scope. It's dead easy to use. Another cool thing I liked about this when I was setting it up, which I should have mentioned earlier, is that once you're done with your yardage, getting your basically your internal sight tape built on this thing, is it shows you kind of how what everything does in your window here, and the things in what you can see. So it shows you, oh, this is where you're going to see your angle, this is where you're going to see your distance, this is where you're going to see like your trajectory and all that, and it just kind of shows you where everything's going to be in there. So it gives you a little more confidence, so you know what you're seeing. It's not the clear, ultra clear view you'd get out of the Garmin Xero A1i vertical bow sight, which is really just like that singular dot and maybe the range when you're actually ranging it. So it's a little more cluttered, but it's a crossbow scope. It's more like a crossbow scope than a vertical bow scope. So I can understand that, but it's not as clean of a picture as you're going to see elsewhere. But realistically, this thing is fantastic. I'm not the most well-versed in crossbows and crossbow technology. I've never shot a crossbow sight like this. It does everything I would want a sight to do. I can go out in the woods without worrying about taking a rangefinder with me. It really kind of hits all the points that I would look for. The downside, of course, is that it's expensive. This has a retail price of $1,400. That's a big jump up, especially if you're normally shooting a kit. You're buying like a crossbow with a scope already installed and everything like that. It all comes together. And that might only cost you, $700 to $2,000 or whatever, depending on what you're buying. Now you're throwing another $1,400 on that. That's a big deal, and it's a lot of money to spend. I guess you got to look at it in the way that, like firearm people that are like look into their glass and the type of scopes that they use. Some of those guys spend a lot more on their glass than they spend on their gun. And I would think that's kind of what you're looking at here. It's you got a nice magnified view. It's crystal clear, and it's waterproof. This thing is rated to be submerged for up to 39 inches of water for a minute. So I have no worries about this thing lasting through a rainstorm or a snowstorm, whatever else I'm going to be putting it through in a hunting situation. It is built to last, and it's technology. The downside is it costs money, and it's obviously it's a little bit heavier too. This thing is pretty beefy. It's almost 2 pounds when I weighed it. That's another consideration if you're lugging your crossbow for a long stretch of distance. But it's convenient in that you also don't have to carry a rangefinder in your pocket. So there's give and take. There's good and bad about how this thing works. But for me and my needs, mostly a tree stand hunter or ground blind hunter, so I'm not walking for 5 miles and spot and stock. I'm not too bothered by the weight, and I really love the technology inside and the range finding abilities of this particular bow sight. I think that's all I got to say for now, Archery Talk. If you got any questions, please let me know in the comments section. I'll do my best to let you know about it. But realistically, I really like how this thing's performed. I should have mentioned this earlier. It's got like an ambient light sensor. So if it's really bright outside, it's going to brighten up what you're seeing in the picture so you can see your aiming dots. And if it's really kind of dark and dusk in the morning, it'll make them a little lower because you don't want to blow your eyes out with all the LEDs in here. They've kind of thought of everything I would want them to think of. It's a really cool picture. So go visit kind of Garmin's website to learn a little more. Check out the preview video for a little more details, and I think that's about it for now. Please do like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel an awful lot, and we'll see you again soon.